Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 257, I'm very lucky, privileged to have Brandon Leibowitz on the podcast. What can I say about this gentleman? Apart from living in Los Angeles, he is a SEO, social media marketer, and knows his thing or two around Google Ads, apparently. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
The pleasure's all mine. The pleasure's all mine. Now, one of the things when I see SEO, search engine optimization, I still see it about, but I do sometimes think it's a thing of the past, because everything seems to be pay to play these days.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything is, social media, definitely pay to play. You don't get much engagement, but Google trying to push the organic results down, but people could see through the ads. So when people search on Google, most people could tell the ads at the top versus organic, the free ones. But Google is trying to push those ads as much as they can because that's how they make all their money. Same like social media. They want to push those ads as much as they can to get as much money as possible, get their stock prices up. And that's all they unfortunately really care about is getting more ad revenue. That's how they make all their money.
But this is the thing, if you're a fledgling sort of company, getting out there in the world, okay, back in the day in 2007, when you first started, it was a different kettle of fish compared to today. Good God, you know what I mean? Time flies when you're having fun and all that. But if a fledgling, someone came up to you and, hey, you know what? I'm trying to get out there into the big wide world. What would you recommend? What would you say to them?
It just depends on their business because it's not one size fits all with digital, but it's just trying to figure out who your audience is, where they are, and how to be in front of them. That's the main thing. If they're on Google, let's focus on SEO. If they're going to be on Instagram, let's focus on Instagram. If they're going to be on YouTube or Yelp, let's focus on Yelp or whatever it is. But so just trying to take a step back, figure out who your audience is and where are they, because you don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be where your audience is at.
One of the things, sort of taking you back to 2007, I am curious, what was the sort of first things you sort of introducing you to this sort of new realm, this new sort of wild west of digital marketing? What was one of the things what sort of jumped out at you when you were a little bit younger, a little bit more innocent to the world?
Just saw that it was a way to get that free traffic. The SEO, search engine optimization, is just a way to get free traffic. And that always stood out to me. It's why spend money on ads when you can get up there for free? The ads do work. They're just expensive and add up pretty quickly, but if you get up there for free, that's going to be a lot better. So that just drew my eye in and got me interested back in 2007, just trying to tap into that. And also thinking, hey, everyone's probably going to have a website in the future. SEO is a way to get that free traffic. Let me just keep going with this, even though it's not what I planned to do, but just kind of fell into it and just kept going with it.
Oh, I see. What were you planning to do originally then, if it wasn't this?
Not too sure. No, just didn't plan on doing digital marketing. Never thought about doing that. That was nothing that I even really thought about, but something with advertising, maybe designing magazine, print ads, stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of fell into this one and realized, hey, this is probably the future of marketing. Let me stick with this and go from there.
My God, if you had your sliding doors moment, there's a version of you doing InDesign for some big magazine company at this present time. So with that, you sort of stumbled into sort of digital marketing. Now, what would you say was how can I put it? What did you see as the sort of main opportunities within that sort of sector at the beginning?
Just being able to do freelance work. That drew my eye in, is being able to work full time and then also pick up clients here and there and be able to build up my own, or just make some extra money on the side and eventually build it up to become a company and be a brand and be able to quit my job and focus on that. But that's something that really drew me in is being able to, I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. So being able to freelance while I was working full time always intrigued me. And that always drew my end, is something like having my own company somehow. And I guess this is a way to work full time, make some money, and also potentially build up a company and build a brand up.
Wow. How long did it take you to like, do the work and then like build your own company up? How long did that take you?
That took about like 10 years maybe, but that's because I wasn't really focused on the company at the beginning. I was just working full time and was happy to get 1 or 2 extra clients here or there, just make some extra money on the side, but never really thought I'm going to go all in with this until a few years ago, where I was like, I'm almost making the same amount that I'm making at this advertising agency that I'm working at. How about I just really focus on this and then build it up to be able to quit my job and just focus on this company? But it wasn't the first thing I was going for.
Yeah. Okay. Like it's one of those things, like you often hear people like, oh, I've got a 3 or 5 year plan. And those like, yes, I'm going to be out of here doing my own business out there, like winning the day, as they put it. But I like to like be there for 10 years. And that's like, just like, okay, yeah, wow, I'm earning as much money as I'm working full time in this other company. Should I go for my freedom and like take it forward, or like just stay? Like, so what was was there one sort of particular, like you got this one particular big account and you went, okay, I'm going for it? Or was it just a case of like, you know what I mean? No, it was time to walk through that door.
No, it was just building it up and building it up to get, because also one account would be a little risky.
Yeah.
If that one account decides, hey, we're not going to do SEO on your digital anymore, then I'd be in big trouble. So that's one thing I've learned over the years, is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you diversify and have that backup plan in case that one big client disappears, that you're still okay and not going to be struggling. So that's also maybe why it took me a little bit extra, because I was like, let me just really build that groundwork, because who knows what's going to happen. And then in 2020, that happened, and then lost like half my clients, because a lot of my business were local businesses that had to shut down. So it's like, if I just only focused on a couple clients, I would have been in trouble. But luckily, I had other e-commerce clients and other types of businesses. So it wasn't just, you got to diversify. That's the main thing, is don't put all your eggs in one basket, because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. Diversification is always the best like route to do these things. But like one of the things I do like what you've done, rather than sort of like go at it gun ho, because like, trust me, there's many a person who like, I'm going to start a business, and just like, yeah, what? So are you going to build up your business and like take it from there? No, I'm going to go tomorrow and just leap at it. Yeah, it puts them into quite a lot of peril, but like taking your time to build those relationships, build those contacts. Yeah, it's like how can I say, it's the fundamental work which I think many a person misses out on. And I think that sort of really ties in with regards to sort of like social media, well, marketing as a whole, if you get what I mean.
Yep. You got to lay that foundation. If not, you're missing out on, I mean, you could try to build the structure, but you're going to be missing that foundation. It's going to be weak, and eventually it's going to crumble away. And you got to do the beginning work, put that time in, spend that time building it all up and establishing it, and then go for it. But just don't dive all in head first. I mean, some people it works for, but majority of the people, it's not going to work. So take your time. There's no rush.
Yeah, because like I imagine, with talking about diving in, you must have a number of clients which like they don't understand it completely, and they just sort of like, oh yes, they expect it to happen kind of like magic, like I've got you in and it should happen immediately. Are they wrong in saying that, or is it like, you know what I mean, is it a little bit more depending on what they want to come from it?
Yeah, no, it all takes time. Unfortunately, it's not immediate with SEO. It takes about 6 months to build trust up from Google. So Google's not just going to rank any website. You got to build that trust up in that part. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut about that. You just got to build that trust up, and that takes time with the backlinks and letting Google know that you really are who you say you are, and you're not some fly-by-night kind of shady, weird, because there's a lot of websites out there. Like Google's kicked off over half the websites off the internet just because they're doing shady things that Google doesn't want to be posting on their search engine.
I hear you. I hear you. And when you like, I'm a little bit like when you say building up trust, because like many people think, okay, I start my website, I start my business or whatnot. I get it ranked on Google either by paying or like taking on the service is from like someone yourself, and they expect to like pop up in different places. Like like how does that happen if you like if you're just starting out with everything?
Yep, no, it's just trying to slow it down and just figure out what keywords you want to focus on and trying to figure out what products or services that you want to promote. But just slow it down a little bit and just take your time because it's not immediate, but you pick and choose which ones and you're just kind of throwing everything against the wall, and some will rank faster than others. You never really know. It's Google's algorithm, top secret. Nobody knows how it really works. So we're just throwing everything against the wall, whatever sticks and ranks quicker, pushing that up and trying to eventually get everything. But some things will just rank a lot faster than others.
I have to ask this. What has been like, what have you, is there one like sort of not magic trick, but has there been one sort of like moment where you everything lined up with the Google gods and the Google algorithm and you went, wow, this has just simply exploded. I have no idea this was going to happen. And if you have, what was that moment?
No, that happens all the time. Some with clients where you just see all of a sudden their traffic just pops and all of a sudden they're just exploding, but it all takes time. And sometimes it's faster. Sometimes it takes longer. It's kind of just randomized with Google. You never really know, but if you do the things that work in the past and try to incorporate that into new clients, then it should eventually work. It's just taking what's worked in the past and incorporating that into the future and just trying to tweak it to see if Google's made any changes. But yeah, once you see that first page rankings or the first position rankings, you just see that traffic skyrocket and see that traffic just take off and explode.
And like with it, like sort of that traffic sort of like breaking out, exploding, and like going ahead, do you have to sometimes like tell a customer that you best be prepared because you might have such an influx that you might not know what to do with it, all of that traffic?
Sometimes, but hopefully, because I don't know the ins and outs of their business too much about their inventory and stock levels and things like that, which I should let them know sometimes ahead of time. But that one, usually it's a good thing if they have too much traffic where I tell them, hey, you could sell those leads off to your competitors. If you can't fulfill the business, sell those leads off because those are all warm leads that people would purchase. So instead of just cutting the traffic down and be like, we can't serve you, trying to figure out other ways to incorporate it or to lead them into a different product or service that you may be offering, but don't just give up that traffic. Try to figure out some way to spin it into another revenue stream if possible.
So building more than one revenue stream, taking things forward from there. Like you mentioned backlinks, like what is a backlink and do they have sort of different values?
So a backlink is essentially just another website talking about you. So if you're reading an article on, let's say, like the New York Times, and in there it says Brandon Leibowitz, and you click on that and it goes to my website, then I'd be getting a backlink from the New York Times. So the more websites that talk about you, the more Google's going to trust you. And then they're going to look at the keywords to figure out what keywords to rank you for on your website. But it doesn't work the other way around. Without backlinks, Google's not going to really trust a website. They're not going to want to rank you. So backlinks are so very important. That's really how Google first started their algorithm, based off backlinks. Still based off backlinks to this day. It's just changed a lot how they look at them. In the past, it used to be a numbers game. If I have 100 backlinks and you have 200 backlinks, you would rank higher than me. It's like a popularity contest. But Google realized there's ways to game the system and get backlinks that aren't really the best. So nowadays, it's not the number of backlinks, but it's the number of quality backlinks. So in the past, it was the quantity, like the number of backlinks. Now it's the quality, making sure you have good sites that link to you. And what is a good or a quality website to Google? That would be a website that's related to you. So finding websites that are related to you. If you're, let's say you're like me, I'm an SEO company. if I had a restaurant linking out to me, that looks a little weird to Google. Like, why is a restaurant linking out to an SEO company? But if I had another marketing website or website about business that links out to me, that would make more sense. So just trying to find sites that are somewhat related. Doesn't have to be another SEO company. I'm not going to get any SEO companies to link out to me. We're all direct competitors, so that one wouldn't work, but just trying to find sites that are somewhat related. That's the main thing, is as long as it's somewhat related, Google will be happy.
Okay. Because like I have seen sort of services like public relation services to like, oh yes, we'll get you onto these new sites and everything like this, to like, right, to help promote it. Like, would you say those things are a little bit of a scam, or it's not the most ideal things where you can see through it or something like that?
No, well, it depends on what sites they're posting you on. Some of these companies will get you posted on like Entrepreneur and forums and Wall Street Journal, and those are all good sites to be on. But if you're on some weird small site that's really obscure, not the best. Or if it's in like a foreign language, something like that, that's not going to be the best. So it's all about just the quality of those sites and making sure that you're on good sites that are relevant and authoritative. Like the bigger the website, the more value. Like if I gave you a backlink from my website, it'd be good, but it's not the same quality as like the Forbes or Wall Street Journal or Huffington Post. So the bigger the website, the more SEO value it's going to be passed on. And if you could get in these bigger sites, that's definitely a huge win. It's tough to get in those bigger sites, but if you could somehow get in them, you'll see it will definitely help out a lot.
Interesting. You know, I like one of the things which, like, talking to you, it felt like talking about how, yes, if you had more backlinks, like, yeah, it would be a popularity contest. Then Google got wise to that and they changed things around. It seems like it's a very entertaining game of cat and mouse, which is played on a regular basis. Like, what would you say some of the like key challenges you face on a sort of day-to-day basis?
I'm just staying up to date with all of Google's changes, trying to figure out what Google's thinking of planning on updating, and just trying to stay up on top of it if possible. But that is a tricky part, just trying to figure out what's going on in the future. What's Google going to be changing? Because they don't really tell you, because they want you to spend money on ads. So they're happy not to tell you what's going on and just kind of leave you in the dark, just kind of wondering what's happening, what's working, what's not working. But yeah, Google is just, like you said, cat and mouse, trying to figure out what's going to work, but just staying ethical, not doing anything shady or anything that will get you in trouble, like building low quality backlinks or doing anything spammy. Because if you do the wrong stuff, instead of ranking higher, you're going to rank lower, which is the last thing you want to happen.
Absolutely. Like, I'm kind of curious, like how many times, like, it must be a hell of a lot of experimentation you have to do. Like, how many times you have to like perform experiments, like on a sort of like week to week? Is it done on a week to week basis, like month to month, or a day to day basis?
No, pretty much all the time. Not really any schedule. Anytime you think of something that you want to test out, let's go for it. So, but yeah, it's all about trial and error, seeing what works, talking to other people, seeing what's worked for them, what hasn't worked, and just trying to piece that puzzle together one by one, trying to figure out what's going on behind the scenes of Google.
I see. No, brilliant. So with all of this and the SEO, and like, when did you sort of come aware of social media being a thing? Was it 2007? Was it 2010? Like someone come up to you and go, hey, have you seen this thing called Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, I forgot the exact year, but I know MySpace was around when I first started doing digital marketing. So I didn't really do too much with MySpace, but it was around. And then Facebook came around. I forgot what year they came out, but that was just a way to put a face behind the company and build that trust up, letting people know, hey, you could buy off Amazon.com. You could buy like some products here, or Bob's TVs, which has been around maybe for 60, 70 years as a local business. You don't know who Bob's TV is, but they might be more trustworthy and credible than Amazon was back then. But you just know Amazon because you trusted them. But Bob's TVs now is a Facebook where you could engage with them, ask them questions, read reviews. It puts a face behind the company and really builds up that trust. So that's when I realized social is important, when it puts a face behind the company and lets people know, hey, we're not just a website, but we're actually people here to help you out. So if you have questions, you get access questions. It's like the web 2.0, where you can start engaging with websites. So that website's just being static. Now you can actually engage with them, like the chat features that you now see on the websites. That's all stuff that came out with that. I mean, the chat features weren't there back then, but nowadays it's kind of the same thing. It's social media. It's like building that trust up, letting people know, hey, we're here to help you out. We're not just a website. There's a phone number here. There's a contact us page. There's an email address. There's all that stuff. But now there's a social media profile that they could reach out with to.
That must have been a very interesting dynamic when that came in, because look, as you say, websites are static, and Web 2.0 is quite a dynamic sort of service, and there is a lot more involved in that. It's a slightly different gameplay, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is very different, but that is the future. Well, and then it's going to the Web 3.0, and then it just keeps going on and on. So just trying to stay up to date with all these different changes and all the different updates, but it makes it interesting. I mean, there is no constant with digital. It's always changing.
You know what? When you say Web 3.0, I am not too sure if that's going to ever get off the ground, because look, let's just say, if you've been paying attention to everything what's going on with the realms of crypto and everything like that, or NFTs, let's just say that has been an entertaining show, to say the least, because it's entertaining to me, because I don't have any money in that. I hope if you do have money in that, I'm sorry.
It's not the best right now. Everything is just dropping in price, but everything has gone down, unfortunately. But everyone was saying same thing, like back in the day, like nobody's gonna use the internet or email, and then now we're all using it. So even though crypto and all that NFT stuff is weird, I feel like in the future it's probably going to be adopted, but right now it's just so new that it's strange, and there's a lot of shady, unscrupulous people just trying to milk it as much as they can, trying to just capitalize off those coins and the NFTs, but eventually they'll all settle down. But for right now, it's like the wild, wild west.
Yeah. Have you dabbled at all in that realm?
Not too much in the NFTs, but some crypto a while ago, because I saw the Bitcoin going up and up 10 years ago, where it kept doubling and doubling in price, and didn't know what it was, and asked people, should I invest in it? And it was $50 back then. And everyone's like, don't do it. So I didn't do it. Then I saw it shoot up to $10,000, $20,000. Maybe I should do some of these altcoins just in case one of those eventually becomes a Bitcoin. But we'll just have to see. But not putting a lot of money in, just a little. Those things are a little weird. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I am curious, with something like Ethereum, where it's yes, smart contract based and everything like this. I am curious to see how that might affect the sort of realm of, will that be the sort of next stage in marketing? Because look, don't get me wrong, there are some people which are just using it. That's oh, you've got my the apes or the techno punks or whatnot, and it might give you access to X, Y, and Z. But there are other people who just yeah, get this and pay me my money, and you get nothing. But do you think, with regards to the going forward, that there will be sort of more sort of marketing based sort of NFTs, or maybe coins with to help promote or get a service on a different, not just for that coin or that NFT?
It might be. I mean, I don't know too much about all that stuff, because I haven't dabbled too much into the Web 3.0 NFT crypto, but yeah, I don't know too much about how that's all going to play out in the future, just like the metaverse and all that. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen, if it's all going to keep going and go that route, or it takes another turn. But yeah, the digital or the marketing side of it will be interesting. People are saying, you could print out smart receipts or something like that with NFT, or make receipts with NFTs and then make them limited edition and give them out to your clients. But I don't really know how all that works yet.
Yeah, because this is the thing, you can get a rich amount of information from marketing today digitally. And I know I might be going out of your sort of comfort zone, or your sort of your house you play in. But yeah, with Web 3.0, the metaverse, as they say, do you think I don't know what type of marketing is going to evolve in that sort of realm, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be another virtual reality. So you could throw ads up in there and throw, yeah, I don't know, people are going to be searching on a search engine anymore on those platforms, but you probably have ads just like in video games. You could walk around and you could, I guess, put a billboard up somewhere and advertise your product or service to people. But I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to work, or we're just going to be living in another world that's a virtual world. And then it's kind of just like this, where we're going to be able to be sitting behind a computer, searching on that, and it all just keeps going and going and going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Do you so what would you say excites you about the sort of current state of the marketing world right now?
I'm just liking that it's always changing. That way it's not the same thing over and over again. Otherwise it might get a little boring and stale, but also just like the mobile, everything's shifting to mobile and video and just like that stuff, because it gets you kind of that instant gratification where you're not reading a long article. There's a video right there telling you what's going on, and people's attention spans are really short nowadays. So anything to help capture keep them engaged, keep them interested in your product or service or whatever you're talking about.
I see. Like, because like I look at it and go, right, you've got your SEO, you've got your your old school like social media, which I class as Facebook and Instagram, and now you've got this sort of new spring out with TikTok, and like YouTube is trying to grab some of their lunch money with doing their own shorts. And I kind of look at it and go, oh, what's going on here then? Like, because there's been some real exciting growth for people doing TikTok, getting that exposure. And like sometimes I'm not 100% sure how they make their cash from it, but you know what I mean? It still works out like nicely. What would you say?
Yeah, no, YouTube doesn't want to lose that video. That video market share is too large. So they're trying to capture that and hold on to it as much as possible. They don't want to give it up to Facebook video or IGTV, Instagram's long form video. There's a lot of people trying to steal that video market, but TikTok is just shorter clips. So I don't think YouTube has to worry too much about it, TikTok, but who knows? They could just start adding long form video just like Instagram did, but not many people use IGTV. So that hasn't been adopted yet, but Facebook knows they're on the decline and they still got to keep that video market share. And Facebook is owned by Facebook owns Instagram. So they don't want to lose that. That's why they have those long form videos, but we have to see how that all plays out. But right now, YouTube is one of the top 3 most popular websites. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, very true. Very true. So like with regards to Facebook, would you say, okay, there are still a huge amount of people which use Facebook, but is it still as effective as it once was, or is it now kind of like you've got to churn a little bit more butter to get any sort of, well, you've got to churn a little bit harder to get that butter?
Yeah, it's not the same as it used to be, but it just depends on your audience. Like if you're targeting an older demographic, then Facebook is picking up for you because it's shifting. But it's just knowing, like the very beginning, like who your audience is so very important. Are they on Facebook? Be on Facebook. If they're not on Facebook, don't worry about it. I mean, have a presence there, but don't worry about pushing it too much. But it's just about knowing who your audience is. That's the main thing. Are they on Facebook still, or did they go to Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest or LinkedIn or whatever platforms out there? That's all that really matters, is how do you get in front of them at on the platform that they're using at that moment.
And like that's one of, I would say, mostly one of the hardest things of all, trying to find out where your like people truly are. Basically trying to sow those seeds can be difficult or can be quite costly if you're having to like pay for those ads. Would you say?
It makes it a little tricky, but it's just all about just put the ad. Well, if you want to run the ads, you'll get the instant results. So if you want instant traffic, run those paid ads. But if you're trying to get the long-term traffic, then SEO, social media is going to be more of a long-term play, but you just have to understand sometimes these social media sites disappear too, just like Facebook used to be really good. Facebook's engagements really dropped, so it's more a pay-to-play platform. So if you're trying to do organic marketing on Facebook, it's not really going to work anymore. I mean, it still does, but it's a lot tougher just because there's not much engagement anymore. It's more like that pay-to-play platforms.
So, so with this all, and like, yeah, everything like changing, shifting, everything like in the realm of marketing, building an audience, and like building a brand, say, what you like, would you always suggest to someone to have their own website?
Yep, because you own the website. If you're on social media, you don't own any of that stuff, and they could take you down anytime, and then you're just gone. So your website, you own that. That's yours forever, or for the time being. That we have websites, but at least you own that. You get full control. Social media, you don't get much control, and you don't want to send people to social media. Social media is a way to get people to your website, not the other way around. You don't want people to only. I mean, some people might want to be an influencer and only be on social media, but eventually you still want to have full control, because what if that platform just disappears and you have 1 million followers on Instagram, but you only have 5,000 on TikTok? That's not going to look good if Instagram just disappears. So you got to diversify, and ultimately that website's going to give you that full control.
Yeah. No, like this is one of those things when you kind of look at people like, oh yes, I must be big on Instagram, or I must be big on TikTok, but they so often forget about building their own website, like building on their own land, say, like owning that sort of property. It sometimes it just sums up. It's just weird to me at times, because you put in all of this energy into these platforms, and as you say, they can disappear quite quickly or drop off popularity. That's just like Snapchat, which was huge at once. It's still got hundreds of millions of people going to it, but it's not as popular as it was back then, you know?
Yep. You never know which ones are going to pop up or disappear. And also, they could kick you off anytime too, like for any reason, or someone could complain about you, and then you're gone, and getting your account back from these platforms is tricky. I mean, it's doable, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and you just got to start from scratch, and don't want that to happen either. So that's why you want to have your own website, have full control of that, and use social media and use all these other ways, or all these other platforms, as a way to get traffic to your website.
You must have seen a number of like social media accounts just disappear from clients like that, like a Thanos snap, and like see that.
Sometimes,
yeah, okay.
Some industries are pretty shady, where like competitors will just be flagging each other's accounts, and it's kind of weird, and they'll just get each other's accounts taken down, and they build new ones, and it's never ending battle. I'm like, that's not the way you should be doing business. But unfortunately, if that's what's happening in your industry, you kind of, I don't know, it's tough to get people to stop flagging each other and taking each other down, because business owners are like, I don't want that person's page up. Let me tell all my employees, go home from their own IP address, flag this account at this time, and try to get it taken down. And there's a lot of unscrupulous people out there. So it's unfortunate.
Shady as can be. But I see that look in your face. You're like, it's happened to me a couple of times. I don't like it. I don't blame you. But like, with some of the shady stuff, what goes on now, what would you say to someone like who's like, hey, there are the shady things, but what are the sort of best sort of practices, like, would you say, like going forward, if they want to like get themselves clean, say?
Anything that seems a little like you're spamming stuff, avoid it. Like if you're putting like 30 hashtags on every single Instagram post, maybe cut it back. So just try to be more organic. Don't do anything that seems like, oh, this is going to give me an instant boost, or anything that seems too good to be true, because it might work, but in the long run, if you get caught doing these things, you'll lose that visibility exposure and have to pay the price for it. So just look at the terms of service, or yeah, on each platform, they'll tell you what you're looking for, what they're not looking for, but just don't do anything that seems a little shady. You're like stealing people's content, things like that. Give people credit. If you do give people credit, they're usually happy to have you share their content as long as you give them credit. But if you just take it and don't give them credit, they're gonna be pretty upset. So just be aware and just try to be nice. Don't do things that are weird.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, I have to say something which I quite impressed with. You have built up a following on your Twitter of 42,000 people. How on earth did you manage to do that?
I've been doing the digital marketing for a while, so building it up at the beginning was a lot easier. Now it's a lot tougher to get the growth on social, but 5-10 years ago, it was a lot easier to grow accounts and organically, never spending money on ads, just doing that natural organic growth. But now it's not the same. It's more of a pay to play platform. And even if you did get followers, like let's say on Facebook, you get 1,000 new followers, only 5% of those people will ever see what you post, unfortunately, because of the algorithm. So getting followers nowadays, like it used to be in the past, was a good thing to get 1,000 likes on Facebook, because you post on Facebook, 1,000 people would see it. Now 50 out of the 1,000 people will see that post, which is still good, but getting 1,000 likes on Facebook is not that easy, or 1,000 followers on whatever platform is not easy. So yeah, in the past, I was like, let me just grow it as much as I can. But nowadays I'm like, is it even worthwhile? Because engagement's so low with these algorithms, it doesn't really matter anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, that sucks. Because like this is the thing. Like you go, like people who don't know just look at the number and go, wow, that's amazing. It's like going, you must have all the engagement in the world. But when you like only 5% on Facebook, that is crazy. Is it the same thing with like Twitter? Like you only get 5% of people seeing your tweets if you put one out there, or is it considerably different?
No, Twitter is not as bad as Facebook.
Ah,
Facebook is really bad with 5%. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, I think it's like at 20 or 30%. Those are the ones that's really, really bad, because they want to make as much money as possible. Twitter, I'm not sure what theirs is, but I'm sure it might change with if Elon Musk buys Twitter, possibly. I'm not sure if he really cares too much about making a ton of money. Like Facebook is just like, we need to make as much money as possible to make our share price go higher. Not sure if that's sold. I'm sure they all want to do that. Twitter wants to make that go up, but I don't know, that's the ultimate goal, where maybe it's just more of spreading news or trying to give people a place to not be censored, is what seems like they might be doing, where they're not going to ban people, but who knows what's going to happen. Eventually people are going to get kicked off, and it's inevitable.
I have to ask, like, is Facebook the baddies? Are they the baddies of the sort of like digital marketing world? Like,
Yeah, Facebook is not the best anymore. Facebook is, yeah, they're just a pay to play platform. They don't care about anything except that ad revenue. They just want you to spend money on ads. If you look at Facebook, you scroll through that feed, like every fourth post is going to be an advertisement or something like that. So it's a lot of ads. It's not like Twitter, where it's sometimes there's an ad, they're more subtle. It's just in your face on Facebook everywhere.
I see. So would you say to someone, depending what they were doing, you're like, okay, look, Facebook, Instagram might not be the place to go, but like, yeah, like alternative, like Pinterest, for example, that might be more like fertile land. Like, do you sort of dabble in like the sort of well-known platforms, but weirdly not seemingly used as much, even though they still got quite large audiences?
No, you have to be where your audience is. You might be selling like, I don't know, like bulk crafting, and then you might want to be on Etsy. So it's not, I mean, Etsy's a huge one, but you just have to, or there might be a really small one, but that small social media site is where your audience is at. You want to be there. So it's not just going after the big ones. I mean, the big ones are getting the most reach, but it's really just trying to find out who your audience is, and are they on these bigger ones? Probably, but they might also be on some smaller ones too. And smaller ones are going to be a little bit easier to break through and get your message out to them, where you're not going to have to spend all that money on paid ads to get that visibility.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, so I imagine like the challenges to like your business, like going through COVID and everything like that must have been significant. What do you think like the future sort of challenges are going to be? Because people have been saying the R word out there. And when I say R word, it's not that R word, it's called recession. Dare I say it? What do you see the sort of future challenges for the sector could be?
Yeah, the challenges. I mean, there's a bunch of challenges. People don't want to trust these sites anymore, or like the fake news and all that stuff that's been going out. So people are losing trust in all of them. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with everything. With there is recession, people aren't spending as much, so that's going to affect a lot of businesses. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Unfortunately, nobody really knows, but it's not looking too good right now. But hopefully, things start changing and go in the right direction.
Now I have to ask, like, if there was a dream client you could have tomorrow, who would that dream client be? What would really sort of like, get your juices flowing?
I love skateboarding, so any big skateboarding company would be ideal. Doesn't matter what it is, but yeah, skateboarding is one of my passions. So anything with that would be awesome.
Do you still skate?
A little bit, not as much as I used to, but a little bit here and there. Try to get out, yeah.
On the half pipe or just freestyling it?
Not as much anymore doing the tricks. Had a few injuries, so now I just go up and down and the boardwalk or the beach and take it a little bit easier. Not try to jump downstairs anymore, or jump down the half pipe or ride the pipes and pools because broken a lot of bones, had a lot of surgery, so don't need to do that anymore.
Oh, I hear you. I was watching this documentary on Disney Plus, basically part of the 30 like series, and it was this mad skateboarder. Oh, what's his name? He did the crate, like this half pipe. It was insane. He was going up. It was Blauman, might be Blauman.
Jake Brown, maybe, or maybe Jake Brown, possibly. But I'll have to check that out. If they have a documentary on Disney, I'll be watching that in the future.
Yeah, like, wait 1 second. No, sorry, it was like BMX. It was Matt Hoffman. Yeah. Like, I mean, oh God, the guy he is insane. I tell you, the air he got on his bike was insane. But I watch that. It's a great show. So where would you like your business to go in the near future? What journey would you like to take?
Building it up and growing it and building up a bigger team and just growing it as much as possible. But yeah, that's the main goal, is just building bigger teams and helping out more and more people with their SEO and getting that free traffic from Google.
I see. And do you have a team currently, or is it still just you by yourself?
Well, I have a couple people helping me and some writers, because with SEO is a lot of content marketing and just throwing content out there. So have to have a lot of content to be able to rank on Google nowadays.
Like, so much content. Like, so do you like believe in the sort of Gary V prospect of don't create, document, or like do you like tell people to take it the which way you want?
It depends what you're doing. For SEO, you need to put text. Like, it has to be content, it has to be text. But for social, you want to put out just video content. You want to really put text. Nobody's going to read that. But content for SEO is so very important. If you want to rank on Google, you need to put as much content, meaning text, not videos, not audio, but text. Text is what really ranks websites for the time being. They're trying to get better at reading and understanding pictures, videos, audio, but they're not there yet.
So if you put out a video, you like having a body of text to go with that on a website helps that completely, rather than just having the video link.
Oh yeah, 100%. You have to put that text. If you just put the video, you're not going to get much out of anything. But if you put text with the video, that's going to really help out a lot.
I see. Brilliant. So with this, like wanting to grow your team, everything like this, what would you say has been one of the sort of biggest lessons you've learned over the last 2 years?
Just don't put all your eggs in one basket, because you never know what's going to happen with everything. I lost a bunch of clients that were local businesses. So just understand that you want to just don't focus on one specific niche. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, I only help out dentists or lawyers, and which is okay, but you don't really want to do that because you never know what's going to happen. So just trying to be ready and be aware and be able to adapt and change, and not just be set on your way and saying, oh, I'm only going to help this set of people, but being able to really be able to change. That's the big thing.
Like, so do you think, like, with that and sort of getting more exposure for your business, do you think you will be starting your own podcast? I know you're on YouTube, you like, you know what I mean? You have a presence, and I know you've been a guest on a number of podcasts. Do you think you'll be starting your own podcast, getting out there proper?
I created one a while ago, but it's just me doing my classes. I do a lot of classes about different topics, and when I couldn't do them in person, because I normally do them in person, but do them online on Zoom, and realized with Zoom, it records the audio and the video. So I just took the audio, put it up on a podcast platform, and got out there. So kind of have a podcast. It's not technically a podcast, but just my classes I've done over the years. I don't know if that counts, but it might. And so, but yeah, it's not a real podcast per se, but we'll have to see. I guess what is a real podcast? It could be whatever you want it to be.
Well, exactly. And that's where the sort of power of it comes into play. And yeah, hopefully more podcasts will come, and it'll grow as a medium. I say this as a humble podcaster out there in the wilderness, as they say.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't put too much time and effort into the podcast because I've just been doing my classes that I've put up there, but I should look into doing some other interviews or just long form where it's not me doing a specific class, but just talking and letting people know what's going on.
Indeed. Now, my sort of last question for this lovely session. Now, if there was someone you could have a conversation with, who would that person be?
I want to get some mentorship, maybe. So maybe like Gary Vee or Tony Robbins, or someone that's been in my shoes and knows how to grow a business and scale it up, and just get some insight, because mentorship has been the best thing that's happened to me, is finding people that help me out and any way to get ahead, because then you can learn from their past mistakes or what's worked for them or what hasn't worked. Then you could avoid some of that, and it really helps out a lot.
Excellent. I lied. One last question. What is one thing you're grateful for?
I'm just grateful for friends and family and having good people in my life, and just being grateful to be alive and go outside, get that fresh air, but definitely grateful for having a good support team of friends and family in my life.
Perfect. Brandon, I got to say thank you for coming on today. Can you let the lovely people out there know where they can find you on the World Wide Webs?
Thanks for having me on today. And for anyone that wants to get in touch, I should create a special gift for everybody. If they go to my website, SEOoptimizers.com, that's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. They can find that gift there along with my contact information, and all the classes I was talking about that I've taught over the years are all up there for free. So if they want to access that, they can find all that information there.
Excellent. I will put all of the information into the show notes, into the description, so you can find him out there on the big wide web. Yes. I say thank you to you, sir. And I say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors out there who stuck with us up until this very point. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day, guys. Have a good one. Peace. And we are